Have you been feeling mentally restless lately? Feeling extremely overstimulated, too many thoughts in your mind? Or are you suddenly curious about paths you may have never considered before? None of this is random because Uranus is in Gemini and it has just arrived for its 7-year stay. Uranus was in Gemini in 1941, and the entire infrastructure of how humans communicate was completely rewired. And we are in that moment again. Uranus entered Gemini on April 25th. And if you've been building your identity shifting practice over the last few weeks, this transit is your cosmic permission slip to accelerate everything. Hello, and welcome to another cosmic guidance session with me, your host, Sharon. And I am talking about how our minds are about to get a complete rewire. On April 25th of this year, 2026, Uranus left Taurus, where it had been for the last 7 years, and entered Gemini. Uranus takes 84 years to complete a full orbit around the sun. The last time this happened was in 1941, and that era brought us radar, the first computers, and television. The entire infrastructure of how human beings communicated, received information, and understood their place in the world was completely rewired. And we are back there again. So Uranus is the great awakener, right? It's the planet of sudden change, disruption, liberation, and breakthroughs. It operates really quickly in flashes. Remember, Uranus is the only planet that rolls, rotates sideways. So it likes to move a little bit differently. It's an individual. So you're going to have lightning bolt moments of insight, sudden flashes, quantum leaps. And we've talked a bit about quantum leaps and moving up to a higher octave because Uranus is a higher octave of Mercury. And some of these things are going to feel like they came out of nowhere when actually they've been building for years. If you remember the idea of that, a seed is planted and then it could take a long time for it to grow. We don't exactly know when all seeds will sprout from what we personally plant. When Uranus enters a sign, it stays for 7 to 8 years. It's not always a quick hit of change. It is sustained rewiring of our systems, okay? And I've heard of quite a few people predict that how we will be communicating, if you think about Instagram and such things, is that the next one that will be kind of launched out hasn't even come about yet. So, kind of an interesting thought and theory, and something to definitely watch for. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the planet of thought, communication, information, and the mind. Remember, Mercury is the only one that can go down into the underworld and back up into reality. Gemini is the sign of multiple pathways, curiosity, and the ability to hold more than one truth at a time. So now we have Uranus meeting Gemini, and that is going to result in a liberation of our minds. Old thought patterns, inherited beliefs, these mental cages that have been running your inner narrative are going to start to crack open. So Uranus in Gemini has been active for a few weeks. So you might already be feeling some of this mental restlessness. You know, your mind seemed to be bouncing between ideas, possibilities, questions, and the speed of everything might feel very uncomfortable to you. Old beliefs might start to feel too small, like things that you were certain about are suddenly like open to question. And it's not really meant to be in a destabilizing way, but in a, hey, wait, is this kind of actually true? Always remember to, when you get new information, you can change your mind. You can change your mind at any time. You have free will. So right now we have all of this information coming at us. Take the information, make adjustments. When you have more information, you can make better decisions. So one of the positives of Uranus and Gemini is we are being given more information. Of course, now we got to sort through it to really like help guide our way forward and co-create what we want our reality to be like. So you might be curious about a completely different path in your life. A lot of people talking about career pivots. There are careers right now with AI that are just being eliminated. So what a wonderful time to start to explore what do you want to do next? Maybe there's some subjects you want to study. Maybe you want to like join a new community or start a new community. And there will be new ways coming out about how we communicate with each other. Like I said, maybe the platform hasn't even been built or created yet. This is also a time of like overstimulation, right? There is so much information, it can feel overwhelming. So many ideas, so much input. It just feels like someone like took the dial tuner and just said, "More please, more volume, more volume." You could have a sense inside yourself, like deep in yourself, that the story you've been telling yourself is no longer fitting you. So this transit is arriving at the perfect moment if you've been doing identity shifting work. Uranus and Gemini is literally the cosmos doing externally what we have been building internally. So the rewire is already underway. Do remember that what we build internally, especially when we want to make big shifts in our reality, the cosmos are already working to rearrange everything to help create the reality that you are building internally. Because as above, so below, your internal, your brain is going to try and match what you internally believe and what it feels safe. Remember from the nervous system episode, from what it feels safe with and familiar with, it will now try to externally match that for you. Do you see how all these pieces are starting to come together? My master plan. Here's why I think this transit is so significant to anyone doing identity work and why I built the series to arrive right now. So here's our connection between Uranus and Gemini and identity shifting. The mind is the first place your identity lives. Before a new identity can be embodied, it has to be thought first. So Gemini rules the mind, the thoughts, the internal narrative, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. Uranus disrupting Gemini means old mental software has to be kind of like shaken loose, right? Old thought patterns are becoming harder to sustain, right? You have all this new information coming in, all these new information to help you with this upgrade to this elevated self concept. And it's constant. You're getting constant information right now to continue to level up, level up, level up. Uranus rules this update. So remember the factory settings framework from the When Nobody's Watching episode? Uranus is literally the planetary archetype of software update. Okay, Uranus rules Aquarius, Aquarius rules the internet, okay? Disrupts what is outdated to make room for what's next. So with Uranus and Gemini for 7 years, okay, the update to our mental operating system is not going to be a one-time update. It's a sustained process. So as new information comes in, we update, we update. You can think about your version 2026.A, version 2026.B, and so forth. As you gather more information, and this is the same thing with quantum leaps and elevating yourself, is that it's these continual steps that you are making, these continual levels that you are going to the next octave higher. So, for anyone who's feeling stuck in old thought patterns, right, and old narratives about who you are and what is possible for you, Uranus and Gemini is the universe basically saying that old story has to go and the new one is ready to be written, right? Mercury, storytelling, write your story. The reason why the Uranus transits can feel very destabilizing is the same reason identity shifts feel uncomfortable. The nervous system registers what's unfamiliar and therefore decides it's unsafe. And you can go back to the nervous system episode to like understand that a little more. But with our tools from last week, regulation, pause practice, working with your moon sign, you can navigate this transit with significantly more ease than someone who does not understand what is happening. So everyone is going to feel this transit, okay? Because we all have Gemini in our charts. You might not have planets in Gemini, but Uranus and Gemini, as it goes through Gemini, will probably make aspects to something in your chart. And we each have a house or houses ruled by Gemini. So you can also look at where Uranus and Gemini is going through your chart. So just a quick little overview. And if you use Placidus system, you can read for both of the houses if your Gemini is partially in your third and your fourth house, okay? So for Gemini rising first house, this can be a complete personal reinvention. Your entire sense of self, your appearance, your presence is about to get an upgrade. By 2023, you might be unrecognizable to who you are today. Let's say it's going through your second house. This is your relationship with money, your self worth, and what you value. This is all being rewired. You may have new income streams, new beliefs about what you deserve, and new ways of building financial security. In your third house, this might be the way you think, speak, and communicate. Okay, your voice, your ideas, your local community are all shifting. This is one of those placements, depending on planets, it could be hitting in your third house too, where you can look for like a viral moments. So if you have Mercury in your third house and Uranus is going through it, I would probably put out some big thing on social media to see if it hits. In your fourth house, this is your house of home, family, roots, your emotional foundation, where we self soothe. Okay, this could feel a little deregulating because Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, can does a lot with the nervous system. So this can feel a little disruptive. But here's the thing, this can really lead to building a foundation that is really authentically yours. Remember, Uranus is the individual, it operates in a different way. So you might be rebuilding a foundation that better suits your nervous system. Your fifth house is creativity, self expression, romance, and joy. It's what I call the house of so high school. It's dating, right? So there might be breakthroughs in your creative work, new experiences with pleasure and dating, and really expressing yourself authentically, like actually feeling like you. If it's going through your sixth house, this is your house of daily routine, your health practices, your work environment. It's also the house of service to others. So you might have some new approaches to wellness, to productivity, how you work with others. This is one too. I would probably be a little more on top of my health, especially like nervous system regulation. Seventh house, this is the house of relationships and partnerships, and this is being rewired. So, also, this is the house of your open enemies. This is contractual part of relationships. This isn't the romance part of it. So who you attract, what you're available for, how you show up in one-to-one connections is going to shift. I would say don't run into something too quickly until you have all the information, okay? Reread those contracts a second time through. Your eighth house is the house of deep transformation, shared resources, intimacy. Your unconscious is being activated. Expect some sudden insights and breakthroughs around power, okay? Money shared with others, and psychological healing. The eighth house is a lot more intense. So here you have this shocking revelations may come out. Just stay on top of any shared budgets. Your ninth house is your house of beliefs, philosophy, spirituality, your worldview. Everything is being completely expanded. Okay, you're seeing things from a new level, you're getting more information. You've got travel and higher learning and spiritual frameworks that you thought were kind of like settled. They might open up again. Okay, so consider opening your viewpoints if Uranus and Gemini is going through your ninth house. Your 10th house, this is your career, your public identity, and how the world sees you is being revolutionized. Okay. You might have some surprising pivots, some unexpected opportunities, and maybe a completely new relationship with your professional identity. Your 11th house is community, friendships, your vision for the future, right? This is your house of hopes, wishes, and dreams. If this is going through your house, I would tell you journal, journal, journal all your desires as they come up, as new ideas come up. Just put them out there. There might be people coming into your life right now who operate on a completely different frequency from you. And there's a reason for this. They are here to open you up to some new possibilities. The 12th house, the subconscious, your spiritual practice, and like hidden patterns are being activated. You might start doing some unconventional healing modalities, and you might have some sudden spiritual insights that might be available to you in ways that you've never been before. I will tell you, Uranus and Gemini is going through part of my 12th house and then my first. My dreams have gotten Pretty out of control. Every night I wake up, I write down my dreams because I'm finding they're coming to life during the day. And I just have to figure out some of the translation between the dream and real life. So, 12 housers, pay attention to your dreams. They are your subconscious and your unconscious coming through. So, we have this for the next 7 to 8 years. So, how can you work with this transit? Stay curious, trust beyond certainty that everything is going to work out. You have to let go of the how. And I mean this in the nicest way, but you've got to trust. Okay. Uranus and Gemini is going to reward those that are open minded. People who are going to really struggle the most are the ones that have to always be right or who need to know exactly what's going to happen before they do anything. So you got to kind of think about leaning into the question and just like letting the answer evolve. Same idea of being curious is you got to let old beliefs be questioned. When a belief you held starts to feel really small, do not defend it, okay? Just sit with the question. Is this actually true? Is this mine or did I inherit it? This is Uranus doing its work, okay? This is a moment to really like look at something and see all sides of it. You are allowed to change your mind. Pay attention to those lightning bolt moments. Uranus operates in flashes. It's often why you see like the lightning bolt as a symbol with it. Sudden insights, unexpected conversations. You're going to be like, oh, serendipity. Honestly, I'm surprised this word isn't coming up more. Maybe a book falls off a shelf and it's like exactly what you needed to see or read. Um, Things are going to shift, and this is not accidents because this is how this transit works. Just write it all down, right? We've got Mercury, Mercury, right. Voice record, do videos, get your transcripts. And it's also time to connect your mental shift to your identity work. Every time you notice an old thought pattern loosening, every time a new way of seeing yourself becomes available, that is your identity shifting in real time. So I want you to think about the work from the episodes When Nobody's Watching and Your Birth Chart is Not Your Destiny is the foundation that makes this transit about evolution rather than chaos. And as you know, I do not believe that the universe is chaos. Everything is ordered. So Uranus and Gemini is here for 7 years. So it's not a sprint, right? It's sustained rewire of how you think, how you communicate, how you understand yourself and the world around you. So anyone who's doing identity shifting work, this transit is like the cosmic wind at your back. Just, don't get swept up in a tornado. The old software is ready to go. Your new story is being written by you with a little accelerated help from the cosmos. Next week, I'm going to go into the affirmation lie, why what you have been saying is not working and what to do instead. Because if we have been affirming and not seeing results, the nervous system piece from last week plus this week's mental rewire is going to give you a completely different way into how to have that conversation. If you want to go deeper into your chart, go ahead and book a chart reading. The link is in the bio. We can also do a cosmic guidance session. If you have planets in your house with Gemini, we can talk about how, as Uranus and Gemini hits each of those planets, what kind of energy you can expect from it. You can also follow my mindful FULL musings on Substack. This is my community. This is where I go deeper. This is where I give more practices to you in an easier way to communicate with me through comments. But as always, please like and subscribe. I hope you're enjoying this journey. I'm personally very excited for Uranus and Gemini. I can't wait to see where we all are within 7 years.